Is blindness a barrier? No.
Is deafness a barrier? No.
Are mobility, learning, cognitive disabilities, speech impairments and others, or even a combination of them, barriers? No way. Lack of accessibility is.
Welcome to Web Accessibility for All.
Follow the blind. This journey starts now.
Hello, my friend. Thank you very much for joining me today in this second episode of this podcast, Web Accessibility for All. And today's topic is skip links. Yeah, okay, nothing technologically challenging today, right? Not so fast. They actually can present implementation challenges. I will show you that later. Now, before we continue, let's make sure that we know what we are talking about. What are skip links?
A skip link is a special kind of link on a web page that allows users to jump directly to the main content, bypassing the navigation menus and other introductory content.
Indeed, if you are using the keyboard to navigate websites, you probably know them. The idea behind them is simple. Offer a quick way to skip sections of a page to go directly to a particular one. The most common case is the skip to main content section, but there can be others depending on the complexity of the structure of the page. So now let's look at a simple implementation of this pattern. We'll use the same page that we created in the first episode of this podcast.
Index.html, Visual Studio Code.
Let me show you the small change that I made to this page to include this skip link.
Less body greater.
This is the starting body tag. Right after this one, I added a new link with this code.
Less of ref equals number cards greater skip to content less / a greater.
As you may hear, is pointing to a bookmark here inside this page called cards, and it has the text skip to main content. This cards ID belongs to the section element that contains the cards.
Less section ID equals cards greater.
Alright, so now switch to the Chrome browser to see this working.
The big three, Solar System, Google Chrome. Skip to content link.
Did you hear that? Let's do it again.
Skip to content link.
This is the first element that the page shows to my screen reader. Actually, it's the first focusable element in the entire page. If I tap again, I go right inside the header where the site navigation bar is located.
Banner landmark navigation landmark list with 3 items home link.
Go again to the skip link.
Out of list link skip to banner land skip to content link.
Activate it.
Main landmark heading level 1 the 3 biggest planets in our solar system.
Voila! We are on our main content. Having skipped the header and the site navigation bar. Great! Skip links are cool. They are predictable and work wonderfully, almost always. Let's imagine the following scenario. The page opens. We have the skip link as the first focusable element on the page. Perfect. Now just activate it to go to that area. And it seems something is not right. As a user, the following questions ring in my head. Does the link not work? Did the page break? Did I lose my internet connection? What's happening here? Well, as a developer, I can reach a simple conclusion. The content is not yet available. Why? Surely the page load involves a sequence of requests to the backend. And this gets worse as the content gets bigger and bigger. Maybe the load is asynchronous and the backend is not having one of its best days. If you are a developer, you may ask yourself,
Ariel, what's wrong with this? I've implemented a nice loading indicator. Why should I worry about it? Skip links are used by people navigating with the keyboard.
a loading indicator is a nice design solution, but let me tell you something. Skip links are also useful for people using screen readers, if they work as expected. So now let's think about what solutions we could use to avoid this behavior.
Maybe hide the skip link until the content is available?
No, the skip link must be always available as the first focusable element on the page. If it is not there when the page loads, it doesn't make sense to have it.
Maybe disable the link and enable it when the content is loaded?
Neither. Disabled elements are invisible to screen readers.
And what about adding a conditional text to the link?
It could be, but it implies additional cognitive load and also maintaining the state of our link.
Gosh, I'm done with this.
Hold on. I propose a very simple solution. Well, let's simulate this behavior in our local environment and also improve the accessibility of this skip link. Now we are back on Visual Studio Code. Let's take a look at the code of our skip link element.
Less of ref equals number cards greater skip to content less slash a greater.
Okay. Let's add an ID to this element.
Less a ID equals skip link ref equals number cards greater skip to content less slash a greater.
Alright, that's all for it. Let's go to the main content because we need a loading indicator. Start with a blank div element.
Less div greater less slash div greater.
Add an ID attribute.
Less div ID equals loading message greater less slash div greater.
Now add a role of status that will be the right way to inform assistive technologies that there is a process ongoing.
Less div ID equals loading message role equals status greater less slash div greater.
And finally, an area live property. This one is responsible for reporting a message to the screen reader that will be read to the user.
Less div ID equals loading message role equals status area live equals polite greater less slash div greater.
Okay, that's it. Those are all the changes that we need in our HTML code. Now, let's put some JavaScript magic.
Less script greater.
And now, here goes the trick. We are going to catch the click event fired by the skip link element, and we're going to do something to make it more accessible.
Document.query selector, number skip link. Add event listener, click, function, event.
Let's add some constants.
Const cards container equals document.query selector, number cards. Const loading element equals document.query selector, number loading message.
Now we are going to check if the cards container actually exists by the time the click happens. Actually, we are going to check if this cards container is null, which means the contents are still loading.
If cards container equals none.
If so, we are going to set the message to a more descriptive text to tell the user basically the status of the loading process.
Loading element.inner HTML equals loading contents, please wait.
And finally, just stop the propagation of the event itself.
Event.prevent default.
And that's it. We are done. Let's give it a try in the browser now.
The big three, the big three. The link skip to content.
Yes, this is the first focusable element. Alright? So now let's click enter.
Bannerland. Loading contents, please wait.
Did you hear that? Loading content, please wait. So we basically made our loading indicator more accessible, but also we didn't change the place where the focus is. So by this time, the focus is still in the skip link. If I press tab,
Banner landmark navigation landmark list with 3 items home link.
yes, we enter the header section with the same navigation bar inside. Now let's go back to the skip link because the content should be ready now.
Skip to content link.
Now press it again.
Main landmark heading level 1 the 3 biggest planets in our solar system list heading level 2 Jupiter graphic Jupiter the largest planet in
Yes, we have it. Now the skip link works as expected. Alright, that was all for today, my friend. If you are a developer, I'd love to know your own opinion and suggestions about fixing something like this. And if not, it would be great to hear about your own experience with skip links. Please don't forget, accessibility is not a privilege, it's a right. And we can all work together to make this happen. Thank you. See you next week. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe for a new challenge next week. And don't be shy. Leave us a review or ask your accessibility questions online. See you next week for another episode of Web Accessibility for All.